Technically speaking.
Welcome to our Technically Untechnical Technology Talk,
a NIWC Atlantic production.
Hey, I'm Chelsie, the NIWC Atlantic videographer, social media manager, and voice of the NIWC Atlantic video tours, which can be found at NIWCAtlantic.com, linked in the description.
And I'm Alex, formerly the chief of media and now one half of the media engagement team at NIWC Atlantic. I'm also the silver-tongued fox for NIWC Atlantic awards ceremonies. Coming up, we've got some insight into the Advanced Naval Technology exercise, a look at how we celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month, some recent successes across the command, and our very important technical tip. A great episode is just ahead, so grab a snack, walk the dog, multitask to your heart's content, and let's get started.
Technically speaking, we exercise at NIWC Atlantic.
Exercise?
That's right. For 9 days in September, we hosted a Cyber ANTX, which is a Cyber Advanced Naval Technology exercise. Basically, a bunch of technology from both government and private industry were showcased and tested in simulated environments here at the command. So it's a pretty big event and a great opportunity. NIWC Atlantic's events execution lead, Dana Rushing, came in recently to shed some light on what Cyber ANTX is all about. Hi, Dana. So why is an event like this so important?
So an event like the Cyber ANTX is hugely important. It brings together government, industry, and academia partners to demonstrate their technologies. Even to go back, we work with identified program sponsors to determine what the capability gaps are needed for the warfighter and try to get these technologies in their hands in 12 to 18 months.
Wow, that's a great turnaround to get these technologies out to the warfighter. And hopefully it helps them, do their job, keep the country safe. That's the whole point, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Great. And why is it great to have collaboration with industry and government? Do they think of things that maybe we wouldn't think of? Do they have different resources? All of the above?
I mean, all the above. Collaboration like this is huge. From a government standpoint, we don't have all the answers. So, collaborating with even other warfare centers, industry partners, and like I said, academia as well, to figure out what is the best way to solve these problems. And a lot of times it is a collaborative effort. You can take parts of one technology, integrate them into a different technology, and you come up with a whole different solution. So things like the ANTX are super important because you can determine there could be a technology that's really, really great at one thing and another technology that's maybe not so great at that. Put them together and there you go, you have your solution.
Wow. That's so creative of us to think of events like this or to host events like this so we aren't wasting time in creating these technologies that really help America stay strong.
Absolutely. So Robert Regal, I call him like the godfather of NIWC ANTXs because he was the first one to get our command involved with these. And so I was really just lucky enough to be brought into the fold with him for Fight the Naval Force Forward. And then since then kind of really it's just taken off. And so, it's really great that he was able to identify how important something like the ANTX is and for our command to realize that as well and allow us to participate in these events. It's great.
And how many technologies this year were at this ANTX?
So we had 24 technologies at the Cyber ANTX.
And were a lot of people coming to look at these technologies? Do you know about how many people showed up to kind of wander around?
So we had about 220 people registered for the event. I would say probably in the neighborhood of 200 people were coming in and out throughout those 9 days.
Wonderful. So hopefully we've got lots of collaborations coming through and lots of projects on the horizon.
We have, some industry partners that have come to every single one of our ANTXs that we've done. So Fight the Naval Force Forward, West, East, NIWC ANTX, and now the Cyber ANTX. And so, there are some really great technologies out there that, one, for instance, that was at the NIWC ANTX. They came out, the first ever ANTX ever was ANTX West. And so they were actually even out at San Clemente Island, which is not where you want to be for your first ANTX because it is, you were on an island, literally.
Yeah.
And so
lots of elements.
So they got a lot of great feedback from that. And then they turned around and a few months later came to fight in the Naval Force Forward East at Camp Lejeune, even learned more, identified more ways that they can improve their technology based off of warfighter and SME feedback.
That's another great point of this Antics is getting that feedback, right? That's a huge component of it.
Absolutely. So I always talk about the WIFM, the what's in it for me for these technologies, because it is a huge.
Never heard that before. That's great.
Yeah, it is a huge investment for especially small businesses. So, the WIFM, some technologies, they don't have access to ranges. And so we provide that to them. They've never even seen a cyber range, let alone, performed on a cyber range. A lot of them want the interaction with the DVs. And so what's really important to them is the shaking hands, the 5 minutes of a DV's time to talk about that. Yeah. Another thing might be that interaction with the government SMEs and the warfighters.
Are subject matter experts.
Yes, subject matter experts. Yeah, right. Sorry. And the feedback that they get from them because they're able to, turn around with that information and update.
Improve everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I always talk about that with them. But of course, at the end, everybody wants those big awards, meaning, a contract, a follow-on action for whether it's development or integration into a program of record or what have you.
Having Antics here in Charleston was a big deal. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So this was the first ever Antex held at NIWC Atlantic in Charleston. This was the first Antex on the cyber range, and this was also the first cyber Antex ever held within the DoD.
That was a triple opportunity right there.
That was, yes. Lots of planning, lots of hard work.
And you were planning all of that. You had a big role. So what does it take to be able to coordinate an event like that?
It takes teamwork. It takes a lot of folks in whatever specialty they have helping out. We could have not done this event without, our protocol, PAO, the folks on the range, facilities, security. I mean, the amount of people that had something to do to pull this event off is just amazing. It really is.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to them, to the assessors, to, I can't. The amount, like I said, just walking through that atrium in 3147 and seeing all of those people and everything set up, all the furniture moved and all the tables in and the power and, it's so much that you don't necessarily think of when you're starting to plan something like this, how many people you do need to get involved.
So nothing is ever perfect, but overall, was it a success? How did the event go in your mind as one of the major coordinators?
We definitely consider this as a success. It was a great opportunity for NIWC Atlantic. Mr. Reddy, the CO, XO, everybody took this as a huge success. And I can't thank everybody enough for all of their hard work and allowing us to do something like this. And, the impact that it will have in the future for the warfighter is just so positive.
Wonderful. I'm so glad it was a success. And thank you so much for coming on to kind of give us a recap, tell us about the behind the scenes and everything that happened. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
So Alex, there is actually a fairly easy process to participate in ANTX.
How can people find out more?
Details on how are on our NIWC Atlantic website.
Hey, Chelsie, we are in the middle of Hispanic Heritage Month.
We're in the middle. What are the dates?
It is held September 15th to October 15th.
Oh, that's different. It's not the beginning of the month. It starts in the middle.
Exactly. Those dates were chosen because the anniversary of independence for several countries in Latin America, including Costa Rica, El Salvador, Mexico, and Chile, happens every September. And as a command, our Hispanic employment team commemorates by holding an event every year. This year, they hosted a virtual event featuring guest speaker Major General Jose Reyes, who has been the Adjunct General of Puerto Rico since 2019.
There is so much happening in this command. It's not easy to keep track of what is going on around here.
That is true, but you and I are always in the know.
Exactly, Alex. So let's give the people what they want and fill them in on everything NIWC Atlantic has been up to lately.
Starting with the Palmetto Tech Bridge Prize Challenge Rodeo wrapped up in the middle of September and awarded about $180,000 to 13 winning companies.
While that prize challenge wrapped up, our STEM team kicked off First LEGO League at an annual event hosted by the South Carolina Aquarium. This year's theme is super powered.
Also, as a command, we donated $18,000 worth of supplies to the Charleston County School District. This was a creative way for us to repurpose unneeded supplies left over from orders that were made prior to our current telework environment. So what we didn't need, we gave back to the community.
You know, and that is just one of the many reasons why NIWC Atlantic was voted Best Place to Work by the Post and Courier's Charleston Choice Awards for the 5th year in a row.
And we also won Best Engineering Firm for the 2nd year in a row. High five to that.
There was also some important travel this month. Our leadership took a trip out west to Seattle, Washington, and they visited with some large industry partners. They gained insight into some best practices within the technology industry and took advantage of a great collaborative opportunity.
And finally, our very own Marcus Schultz went on a morning show with the local ABC station here in Charleston called Low Country Live. He spoke about some cybersecurity tips to help keep kids safe.
Speaking of cybersecurity, October is Cybersecurity Month, which means it's time for our technically speaking cybersecurity technical tip.
Not really that technical.
Did you know hackers can look at you through your webcam without you knowing it? So to keep yourself safe from those prying eyes, it's a good idea to put a piece of tape over your camera anytime you're not using your camera.
Ooh, so I can dance like nobody's watching?
On that note, we are out of time. To learn more about anything we've mentioned in this podcast, check out our social medias under Naval or our NIWC Atlantic website. Links are in the description.
And that wraps up this episode. Thank you for listening. If you have a tip or story that you think should be included in this podcast, please contact us at our public affairs email address, which is listed in the description.
Naval Information Warfare Center Atlantic, also known as NIWC, is the East Coast branch of the Naval Information Warfare Systems Command within the Department of the Navy. We develop a range of technologies that provide state-of-the-art capabilities to the United States military.